you know.
Is Henning to be picked up by ABC or the people you're working with again?
Henning, the film thing, it will almost certainly be ABC. That tends to be, it sort of works that when one of the major networks has done a major thing with you and it did well, there is no contract to that effect, but it's kind of an understanding that they are your map.
It hasn't been decided yet.
No, not at the contract signing level, but it has been decided at the talk level. Let's put it that way. What I'm really kind of excited about is this book I was telling you about the Appalachia thing. Is that it kind of tickled me. I haven't written a word of it yet, but I've been talking about it like crazy out there. Just sitting with producers, talking with the scenes and stuff. And we've just about, I was saying I wanted to try to make this my first feature movie. And then there was some really serious discussion. They finally, the other day, convinced me it needed to be long form, a mini-series. And so I said, okay, we'll make it a mini-series. And so it's now at network level, pretty much agreed it'll be either 12 or 14 hours. And we know we're going to film it in Tennessee and one thing and another. So all I got to do now is write it. That's it. But that will probably almost certainly be ABC.
But that's got to put pressure on you.
Do appearances.
In a way. Huh?
Do appearances like this take away a great deal of your writing time? Do you feel like you catch up when you get back home?
You should hear my agents on that subject. But I enjoy it, to tell you the truth. I'd like to come around, and I tell you, among the reasons is I don't think anything sort of bothers me a little bit much more than to sit around at some of the places in quote Hollywood, all the places that are encompassed in that, and hear people who probably haven't been out of the boundaries of it in the last 5 years, except maybe to go on location, and who really talk as if they know this country. And they haven't been in this, haven't been out about it. They wouldn't know Fort Wayne from Fort Smith, Arkansas, And I really do. I love to just go here, go there, go yonder, and just kind of touch the different parts of this country. It's, to me, exciting. And I have a much better sense I feel, of the country than I otherwise possibly could have. So I enjoy it. I don't do nearly as much as I used to do of traveling, but I do a good deal. Yeah.
We'll take one more quick question.
You mean I'll answer it briefly? Yeah. I tend to run my mouth. I'm sorry, man. Who has that other one, whatever it is? Looks like we've expired.
Well, thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, on A New Generation now I have Mr. Alex Haley, a well-known author. And first of all, let me welcome you to A New Generation. We're glad to have you here in Fort Wayne. We are, aware of a lot of the things that you've done, but I wonder what actually got you started writing?
You want to really know what started me writing? Writing love letters for guys on a ship I was on, and my clients would tend to be very successful when they got ashore. And they began to pay me $1 a piece for letters, and that was what gave me the first insight that there was something in the writing business. And that's literally how I started writing.
Well, that's a good way. I think a lot of people probably started that way. Now, with the success of Roots and everything, we are aware of that. But when we start a project, most people, we have some goal that we have in mind of reaching. Did you have a goal with Roots? And then number two, did you reach that goal?
Well, I didn't have a goal in the sense of I did not set out at the beginning to write a book. I was just curious about my grandmother's family story. When I finally, after a couple of years, got the idea that maybe I could make a book of this, there wasn't even then a goal in the sense of anything other than once committed to a book, the next goal was to finish it. And then you ask, did I reach the goal? Well, I really got kind of overwhelmed by what happened. Nobody could have anticipated what happened with Roots. I sure couldn't. Yeah. And it was kind of like, given the life I'd known before, sitting in a room, writing is a solo business. You're sitting there by yourself and doing whatever you're doing, and all of a sudden the kind of inundation, and that's approximately what it was. It was like jumping in a whirlpool.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Now you have a lot of impact on all people in this country and even outside of the country. But what kind of impact do you think your works have had on black families per se?
I think that if it were boiled down, probably at least the precedental thing would be one word, and that's pride. You see, it used to be pretty much the case that since there was so little knowledge of black history, so little awareness of it, that black people usually didn't think of themselves in terms of historical background. If and when it was thought about at all, that and that immediately evoked the image of Africa. Right. Well, the last thing anybody wanted to be imaged with was Africa. You're not old enough, I imagine, I am, to know that, see, now we sit and we talk about black. Well, I'm old enough to know if somebody called you black, they'd have to fight you. Right. And that was another thing that spoke about a race of people who were not proud of themselves nor of their history. And so Roots, and I'm not saying by any means that Roots is the salvation of all of that, but Roots played a role in, one, making Africa more palatable, giving it a sense of definition, and giving it an identification of pride, rather than somebody swinging around in limbs of trees with a bone through their nose, which had been the previous image. Interestingly enough, Steve, the biggest single image of Africa prior to Roots, and this is pointed out to me by people who know more about such things than I, was really conveyed by Tarzan, the films. And so that was the image worldwide, pretty much, of Africa. And so naturally black people did not want to identify with that image. Then the next image, equally odious, was slavery. You didn't want to identify with the image of those people who were in the ways slaves were pictured. But Roots tended to, and I'm saying all this after the fact, I didn't think about it all that much doing it, but it tended to take people who were slaves and take individuals among that group and bring them out where we looked at them up close, a la Kunta Kinte, who was a slave, and all our others were slaves and we found they were people we could respect and indeed feel proud of. They might teach us something about courage, about endurance, about perseverance, about faith, about hope, and so forth. Get to this country, you had people, again, slaves, not just saying, oh, laws in me in the cotton field, but who were people like Chicken George. You can't feel like Chicken George is somebody's wanton fool. He was slick as an eel. Right, yeah. He'd take the hide off you if you let him. Fiddler, the character Lou Gossett played, and the sundry others who appeared. And it tended sort of across the whole spectrum of what might be called, or is called, the black experience, or in other phrases, the Afro-American experience, whichever phrase one prefers, to give a better definition, a more prideful definition, and indeed a more accurate one, Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, we appreciate the work that you've done and wish you continued success with whatever you do.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it, Steve. I'll try.
All right.
Okay, brother.
Thank you.
All right. Okay.